General Spaulding, how are you, sir?
Great. How are you? Good morning.
Doing fantastic. I'm glad you could spend some more time with us. I want to remind everybody about your book that's out. We talked about this last time, Stealth War, How China Took Over While America's Elite Slept. Let me ask you this about that in the context of that book. Are America's elites still asleep, you think?
Actually, most of them still are, or they're in denial. However, some have started to wake up. In fact, last week, Schwartzman, the head of BlackRock, mentioned that, essentially China had taken advantage of the U.S. Now, this is kind of the first mention of anything like this out of Wall Street since all of these tariffs and everything started to take place.
Turning now to Hong Kong, what are your thoughts about what's going on in Hong Kong? I mean, to me, it's refreshing that the American flag to people over there means freedom of speech. It means liberty. And while we may be burning it over here, some of us, over there, it's a symbol of hope. What are your thoughts on Hong Kong? What should be done?
Well, I think finally we're beginning to see what the Chinese Communist Party really is and the kinds of things that they do. I try to tell people that, they have these machines where they keep bodies alive, dissidents, religious dissidents that are essentially sentenced to prison in China, and then they harvest organs for them. So you can right now schedule a heart transplant next month because they'll be guaranteed to pull one for you. That's the kind of regime that we're dealing with, and finally, for the first time, people are beginning to wake up, and it's primarily because of the kids in Hong Kong are standing up for their own freedom.
Hang on. I would just like for you to repeat that for us. You're telling me that there are, like, machines that keep dissidents alive, and then they go and they harvest their organs.
That's exactly right. And so the first country, and the only country, by the way, to ban travel to China for organ harvesting was Israel. A heart surgeon over there realized what was going on because one of his patients said, "Hey, I'm going next month to get a heart transplant." He said, "How can you schedule it?" And so he did some investigation and found out, yeah, they were taking dissidents, essentially taking their organs and killing them, and they've created an industry out of it. I just don't think people understand what the regime is capable of.
So you're telling me that we have elites across the world that are going to China, scheduling these organ transplants because they know that there's essentially a human organ harvesting farm over there. And it reminds me of that movie, The Island, with Ewan McGregor, where they've got clones. Yeah, it's terrible. But I mean, there was an independent inquiry done in the UK. There's a lot of people have come forward, surgeons, people that have experienced this. They understand what's going on. Of course, the Chinese Communist Party just does a great job of hiding things, but all the information's there. The mainstream media just hasn't portrayed it because the Chinese Communist Party has huge sway in the United States and elsewhere, and that's what the book's about. It's really talking about how they've influenced us to consider them to be something other than what they are, which is really a horrible regime. And then you've got the current president of China, who's essentially changed the rules, and now he's going to be the leader for life. Which, I mean, it reminds me of Mao. Are there similarities between President Xi Jinping and Mao, in your opinion?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, he gave a speech just a few weeks ago where he mentioned the word struggle 60 times. They haven't used that word since Mao. And so it evoked for many of the Chinese the Cultural Revolution, which was a horrible time when many people were killed, many people were forced into these gulags where they were brainwashed. And so the China that I lived in from 2002 to 2004 has taken a turn for the worse. Of course, the Chinese Communist Party hasn't changed their nature. They've just become more visible. And again, thanks to the kids in Hong Kong for forcing them to show their hand.
Can I ask you about foreign investment? I think we talked about this a little bit last time, but the Chinese government, they go into countries and they They want mineral rights. They want they promise jobs. In my home state of Arkansas, we have 6 Chinese companies that are supposed to come here at some point in the future. All that is kind of tied up and on hold because of the trade war. I've talked to people that think it's a Trojan horse. Do you kind of feel the same way? What are your thoughts on how, they're a developing nation under World Trade Organization rules, and yet they can interject billions of dollars into these other countries?
Yeah, in fact, they create these onerous loan terms that nobody really knows because they're all done in secret, and usually it involves paying somebody off. But I think that the most egregious thing for Americans is if they're coming to America to invest money, it's because they've taken money out of Americans' retirement funds. So right now, Wall Street is sending money from our retirement funds over to China. And what they do is turn around and come back and buy some strategic piece of technology or property here in the United States with our own funds. And of course, you'll never see that money again because, the auditing and the transparency requirements within the country is absolutely doesn't follow any convention here in the West. So, I mean, it's really, they really are clever in the way they do things, and we have been just absolutely raided.
Okay, that's huge news about this. Essentially, it's a cycle, coming from America to China, then back into America. Again, we're talking with Brigadier General Robert S. Spalding, Senior Fellow at the Hudson Institute, author of this book, Stealth War, and you need to check it out, How China Took Over.